Why 80% people survive plane crashes due to exit doors? Scanning for the glowing red signs. Row 14F, my assigned seat, but more importantly, 12 feet from exit door 3. I'd requested this specifically, armed with my research. 80% of crash survivors had studied exit door locations during takeoff. The statistic had become my obsession ever since reading it 3 months ago. I'd memorized it, cited it at dinner parties, used it to justify my newfound ritual of emergency preparedness. Every flight now began the same way. A careful examination of my surroundings, counting steps to exits, noting the brace position card. As the plane fills with passengers, I watch them settle in with their novels and phones, blissfully unaware of their proximity to salvation or doom. Don't they know? Don't they care about joining that magical 80%? The flight attendant begins her safety demonstration, and I follow along with religious devotion, my finger tracing the evacuation routes on the car. The woman beside me glances over, probably thinking I'm a nervous flyer. If only she knew I was being strategic, intelligent, prepared. Then mid-gesture, a thought creeps in like fog through a cracked window. What about the others? The ones who didn't make it into that statistic? What if they'd studied the exits too? Shake my head, trying to dispel the doubt. The number is clear, 80%. That's science. That's data. The engines roar to life and we taxi toward the runway. I close my eyes and visualize my escape route. 14 steps to the exit. Turn the handle counterclockwise. Push out. Slide down. I am prepared. I am part of the 80%, but the thought returns, more insistent now. What if 100% of the people who died had also studied the exits? What if they'd sat there just like me, memorizing distances, confident in their preparation? They can't exactly be interviewed about their pre-flight habits now, can they? The plane lifts off and I feel my certainty lifting away with it. My mind begins to spiral. Every confident survivor I'd imagined sharing their exit door wisdom, what if they were just the lucky ones who happened to survive anyway? What if the real story was written in silence by those who'd prepared just as meticulously but never lived to be counted? I look around the cabin with new eyes. The businessman in 12C studying his safety card. The mother in 16A pointing out exits to her child. The nervous flyer in 18D gripping his armrest while staring at the emergency instructions. Are we all just members of some cosmic joke, thinking we're joining the 80% when we might actually be lining up for the invisible 100%? The flight attendant passes by, and I almost ask her about crash statistics, but stop myself. What would I even say? Excuse me, but how many dead people studied exit doors before they died? My prepared advantage suddenly feels like a placebo, a comforting illusion wrapped in the false promise of control. I'd built my confidence on a foundation of survivor bias, forgetting that statistics only capture the voices of those left alive to speak. We're at cruising altitude now, and I'm no longer counting steps to the exit. Instead, I'm thinking about all the untold stories, all the silent preparations that never made it into the data. The exits are still there, glowing red in my peripheral vision, but they've transformed from symbols of salvation into reminders of uncertainty. I lean back in my seat, finally understanding the paradox. The 80% statistic isn't meaningless because it's wrong. It's meaningless because it's incomplete. It's the sound of one hand clapping, the echo of voices we'll never hear. For the rest of the flight, I don't study exit door. Instead, I study the faces around me, wondering which of us would become tomorrow's statistic, and which would become tomorrow's silent. The exits remain the same distance away, but somehow, the space between knowing and surviving feels infinitely wider. When we land safely, I realize I've learned something more valuable than exit door location. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't being unprepared. It's believing your preparation makes you